I think we're evolving as a team that wants to have a little bit more of the ball, but with that comes more transition moments, right? And I think you look at both their goals come in transition moments. So it's just the next step for us is understanding that if we want to start doing this, we have to understand what the other side of that is. And it's two moments where, yeah, it's really all they were going to have in the game. So I think it's frustrating for us, but that being said, we had 20 shots, 10 on goal, and a lot of opportunities to tie the game, win the game, whatever you want to say. But, yeah, those are moments where we have 8 games left, and thankfully it's just in a regular season game and not an Open Cup semifinal or in a playoff game. So we have to learn the lesson.
Eric mentioned the locker room having frustration after losses like this and looking to do better for the rest of the season. How helpful is it now that you don't have these midweek matches thrown in all over the place?
Yeah, it's a good question, Ashley. I think the ability to train is something for us that's really helpful. I think the more we can, like I was just telling Andy, get on the field and look at some of the things that are coming up in the game and train them, the better we're going to be prepared for the next opponent we play. Whereas when it's Wednesday, Saturday, it's recover and play. So I think we're looking forward to a week of full training on the field.
Is there a little bit of tiredness seeping in?
I don't want to say tiredness. I don't think that was the reason why this result was what it was. I think we do have a smaller squad, I guess you could say, and we run our horses pretty hard. But I think the staff's done an amazing job of getting everybody a part of the group, whether it was through the League's Cup or into the league play of playing meaningful minutes across the board. So, again, I think this was just a situation where we have things to learn.
And just on that, obviously you had the two, blocks on that one sequence in the second half. Just kind of, what did you see on that? And then, if you don't mind me asking, what did you see on the two goals as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think on that one it's just run and try to block the ball.
There you go.
And then the second one, I think, to your second question, I think the first goal is one where maybe the ball isn't where we want it or is predictable to where it's going to be going. But then I think it's getting the numbers back into spots where we're not just idly running toward the ball when a guy's running behind us. And those are things that, by and large, throughout the season, we've done a really good job. So, again, it's little moments against a team that likes to be very opportunistic in transition. They're going to punish you, and I think Yappy did a really good job on both goals, taking those well.
We saw you frustrated after the second goal. What do you want to share about?
I forgot that the referee was playing basketball and was setting picks tonight. That's the only reason. That's the only thing I'll say about that.
Okay.
Explains the unhappiness from the crowd on that
Yeah,
one.
a little bit of a. Where are you going? Are you going there? Where am I going? Yeah, I mean there was one earlier in the game where he did a similar thing. So for me, it's the self-awareness and spatial awareness of the referee also matters to how games are played in big moments. So that was one that I think certainly myself, but the rest of the guys were frustrated with.
Yeah. What does this team need to do to find ways to break down the five-man backline? Because it seems like that's what we see game in, game out these days.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that, but again, like I touched on, we had 20 shots and 10 on goal. It wasn't as if it was that off color. It's more about the last little cutting edge of finishing or putting the ball in an area where it gives our guys a chance. Making Stefan make a save versus, maybe it not going on goal. So I think all those little things will start to sharpen up the more training time we have.
Stefan did have to make, honestly, what was a great kick save on that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was challenged at least once.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, as you mentioned, 20 shots. Are you feeling frustrated from missing, really just kind of missing those opportunities for the full match?
I wouldn't say frustrated by that specifically. When we lose, you're upset. So I think it's one where we're going to sit there and we're going to look at what we can improve upon. And those are, again, moments in the game where when it's on goal and he has to parry a save into a difficult area. We've seen that time and time again this season. That's generated goals for us. So it's consistently doing that.
350 starts.
Yeah.
Is that a round number? Or
Come on, this is fine wine right here, baby. Honestly, I don't really understand how they do all the statistics and whether this is what this even means. So again, it's great to do this for my job. I really love it, and 350 is cool.
Obviously,
350 more to go. Same with Pookie.
quick one, sorry, at the end. Obviously, had a cool moment at the beginning of the game just with Tommy being able to come in and score that goal. Just what was that like being part of that
Well,
moment?
I don't think we expected. He's a showman. I mean, the kid was unbelievable. He was great at training yesterday, and today, what a moment for him, for his family. We got to meet. Just special to get to know him, even in the brief amount of time that we had. But then to him, just watching his face and see the moment that he had today and the experience was the stuff that truly dreams are made of. So it was pretty cool.
Do you all expect him to, throw the crutches down like that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The presence and the aura that he had was pretty special. So I think, again, you could just see the emotion on his face when he was getting subbed off of like, yeah, I did it right, which was really fun to see.
Eric, what's your overall reaction to the match?
Yeah, as you can imagine, we're really frustrated with how that's gone and a lot of components of the performance. The framework for winning the game was there for sure. I don't think anyone would deny that, having watched the game. But where we haven't killed the game, they have, and they've been ruthless in two moments where we didn't show that ruthlessness. And it's, I think, a thread that's probably gone through 4 or 5 of those games at home where we've been the dominant team on the ball and we've created 19, 20 shooting opportunities and 10 relatively good ones that hit the target without there being that real cutting edge. And then we've of course got to improve in moments where we've got half-pitch counter-attacks where we are numbers up, we're in a good position, and we don't recover with the level of intensity that you'd expect in those moments. Didn't show that real desperation to win. So I think that, on top of the fact that it's another one of those opportunities where the door is wide open for us to walk through and take a place above us, we haven't done it. So we're really frustrated there, and we wanted to start this 9-game block far better than that, and that doesn't constitute that in any way. Elements of the performance we were pleased with, for sure. I don't think you can say it's all bad when you finish with the lion's share of the ball and 20 shots and 10 shots on target and really good XG numbers, high quality chances. But if you don't win those games, then we're not going to be where we want to be come the end of the year.
Going into this match, of course, you had 3 days to prepare. Colorado also made a big move selling their biggest offensive performer in Mihailovic over the week. Did that have any change to either your preparations or your game plan for today?
No, I think they're well. Actually, having said that, they made a big change to the way that they typically play today, and I think that's something that we do encounter fairly often, that teams will adapt to us. I think we up until this point have played in a relatively unique way. You see teams make big changes to what they do normally against us, so teams are often difficult to predict anyway. I think I said prior to the game that them losing Mihailovic this week was gonna have one of two effects. It was gonna make life tough for them today, or it was gonna really galvanise them as a group. And I said prior that I know what type of group they are. I know what type of coach Chris is, and you can tell it's a very together group, and they've got some strengths at the top of the pitch irrespective. And it wasn't in any way that we didn't know about the threat that they have on the transition across a couple of players on that top line. They've got real pace and athleticism, and that was the element of the game that we've not handled well enough today. So yeah.
And you kind of commented after, sorry, that's loud, but you kind of commented after the last game just about a lack of precision, top of the box. You said, like, I feel like we could have been there for a few more hours and just went and scored. How would you, I guess, just rate just the precision in that respect in this game today?
Yeah, I think if you looked across the players at the top of the pitch and had conversations with them, I'm sure they would be frustrated that we haven't turned territory and chances and clear opportunities into goals and made Stefan work harder than he ultimately had to. So I think once we get to this point, the next step is for us to be really ruthless in those moments. And I've said to the players at the end, I'm pleased that we are in this position far more often now, where we're a team that can threaten to hurt teams in every way. On top of our biggest threats over the course of the first couple of months on a counter-attack, on set plays, we often now have the lion's share of the ball, which is a sign of the level of respect that the opposition give us. And I'm sure if you spoke to the forwards, they would want to be in this position. They would want to be in a position where we have a lot of the ball on the top of the box, and we just need to find that spark and that real ruthlessness, because you can't come away with the number of chances that we've created tonight and only having scored 1 goal at home. And between now and the end of the year, home games will be decisive. We've really got to make that count.
Coach, what do you think about Tanny's goal tonight?
No, I was really pleased that he was able to do what he did, because we deserved the goal at that point. I felt like, for all the disappointment, we showed some fight and we showed some spirit, and we did what was necessary to pick the crowd up and find some energy in the stadium that had been lacking up until that point. And I always make this comment up here: it's our responsibility to make sure the stadium feels like it did for the latter 20-25 minutes, where the crowd are desperate to see us create and score, and obviously it makes for an atmosphere that is often conducive to goals in our case. So I'm pleased that we got there, but up until that point we'd been really stale in that sense.
Eric, is your team tired? Does it look like it, given the counterattacks, given kind of a short bench, one attacking option, and an 18-year-old kid?
Yeah, I mean, you listen to me speak up here enough times. I'm not one of those coaches who's going to make excuses in that sense, but we obviously are. We're running with a small number of players at the moment. We've played a lot of games recently, and we're again getting to that point where we need some help in padding the squad out and making sure that we're able to finish this season as we want to, which is with real energy, real freshness, a real change in dynamic as we experienced at this point last year. And I'm sure that we trust that the work going on behind the scenes will ultimately result in that. And I think the flip side of that is that we are a group that is very inward looking, I would say, and all the conversations in there have been with that tone. The players, they look at themselves, they look at the culture, they look at the level of detail, the preparation. Are we turning over every stone? And I think all that we can do as a group of people around the team is make sure that we're doing that and trust that translates to a performance on Saturday. But as you pick up on, it's not been an easy few months in that sense. We've travelled a lot, we've played a lot of games, and that's the nature of this league. So I won't make an excuse in that sense.
Kind of piggybacking off of Andy's question, but on the inverse side, you're out of the busy part of the schedule now. How well is that going to help you in planning this squad out for the remainder of the season? Now that outside of one, maybe two Open Cup matches, you no longer have those midweek matches.
Yeah, and that will help for sure. And I think typically in my time here, when we've had clean weeks and we've had really good preparation for games come the weekend, we've seen largely good performances and good results. And obviously this was a stretch last season where we really came to life and we really capitalised on that preparation time, and obviously the guys that came into the group last year really helped. So we've got to make sure that we, as I say, turn over every stone in the way that we prepare for these games, and we come to Saturday and we feel really good about the work. We really feel like us as a group are super well prepared, and we've shown up in that sense. And that was what I said to the players beforehand. Whatever happens over the course of these coming weeks, we have to feel like to a man we've showed up, and we have to be able to decide games in the way that we haven't tonight. So I think there's a risk, of course, when you add this to how we finished in Leagues Cup, that bad feeling sets in. But I think ultimately, if you take the season as a whole, we've put ourselves in a really good position. I think for us to be frustrated in the way that we're frustrated at the moment is it's a good sign. We've just got to make sure that now, with the opportunities that we've got to come, we really turn these performances into points.
Cool way to start. Cool way to start the game, obviously, with Tommy getting the chance to start and score that goal for you guys. Just wanted to ask what it was like to have him around. I understand he did a training session with you guys, and obviously the chance to play tonight. Yeah,
I think it's a very similar feeling to the feeling we had last year with Carter. I think it's that sense of perspective is so healthy for everyone, and is such an inspirational story. And I think the players responded really well to having him involved this weekend. It was obviously a really nice moment beforehand, and I think we do a really good job as a club in those moments. And I'm sure, and rightly so, he's felt really special over the course of the last couple of days, because the character, the positivity, it's infectious. And I was really pleased to see the way the crowd responded, the role that our players played, and the role that our staff have played in that, because it's a really special experience for everyone involved.
Just one more for me. Back to football for a second. Another example of a five-man back line. Is that starting to cause you to lose sleep at night?
Yeah, it obviously makes life difficult from the perspective of penetrating the top of the box. It gives you the opportunity to have a decent amount of the ball, as we've experienced tonight. But I think I'd be far more worried if we'd got to the end of the game today and hadn't created a chance and hadn't had a shot, and XG was rock bottom. But that hasn't been the case tonight, and I think you can only at that point trust that the work that you do behind the scenes and the work that the players do is going to ultimately result in us being able to convert more and more of this dynamic into points. And you as I say, I'm pleased that we have got to this point as a team, because I've always said I want to be a team that can be a threat in all senses. I want to be a much more complete team than we've been able to show at certain points. But ultimately, I want to be a winning team. I want to be a team that can follow through on the promise that we've shown up until this point. So we've got work to do for sure, but the ingredients are there, and I know that if we can get back to doing what we do really well between now and the end of the year, we'll be in a good place.
You mentioned wanting to be a winning team. Of course, that would mean cups, league tournament, everything. Do you think this frustration that you mentioned with your team right now is going to help them, especially going into next weekend's match against Seattle, where you do have a win over them in Seattle this year?
I think we have a very healthy sense of frustration in the dressing room. We've got mature characters. We've had a good conversation in there, and those guys, they speak with the right tone. They know what we've got. They know what we are. They know what we're good at. They know what we need to do well in order to win games. But they also know the margin for improvement that we have, and fortunately now we've got fresh weeks, clean weeks should I say. We should be able to find some freshness. We should be able to capitalise on that training time, and that's a responsibility that everyone has. We as a group of staff and the players have to make sure that every day counts now, and everyone shows up, and ultimately that's what's exciting about this stage and the position that we've put ourselves in. And I think we're probably fortunate that the results this weekend go our way, and we're still in touching distance. We're still really competitive when it comes to finishing in the top four, which is for sure a huge hope of ours at the moment. So I feel really good about the situation in general, aside from the obvious frustration that goes with a night like tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Will and Tanya in the locker room.